Hey folks, what's going on? Pruitt here. Hope you're doing well. I'm unbelievable as always. I'm sorry it's been a very long time since I've done a video, but man, October was busy. Next thing I know, November rolled around and it got crazy busy, so I wasn't able to put videos together as much as I'd like to. I was still able to create, just not videos. I want to do this video to share an experience that I had here recently in Gaston County. I was recently a guest of the Creative Pollinators here in Gaston County, which is run by the Gaston County Arts Council. It was totally an honor and I was flattered and it was such a joy to have this opportunity to speak to everyone here locally and share my thoughts, ideas, and how I do things, how I don't do things, and just talking about being a creative and getting out there and dominating. It allowed other local creators to get together and network and chit chat with one another and share their thoughts, and I was able to sit down and just spend a good, I probably sat about 45 minutes doing this interview, which was just a thrill. But what I'm going to do is just share a snippet of it. But anyway, it was a great event. I appreciate all of the local support that I had, those that were able to come out and support me being there in the seats. It really means a lot. You know who you are, and I really appreciate it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at this Q&A and let me know your thoughts on it. So here it is. I should probably take my hat off. I just realized that. My mom, she will yell at me.
Oh. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is our special guest for this evening, Mr. Anthony Pruitt. And you can start off before I go into the Q&A with your art disciplines, your light bulb moments, so that everyone can get to know you now.
Well, I'm Ant Pruitt, and my discipline would just be digital content in general. It's not just photography, it's not just video, and I like writing too. So just whatever it is that allows me to sit down and have a quiet moment and create, that's what it is. I'm not gonna say I'm the best at it, but I'm not bad either.
And that light bulb moment happened at what point in your life or career?
I'm thinking it was about 4 or 5 years ago, because I'm also still a part of corporate America. And one day I was out on my so-called smoke break. I don't smoke, but smokers get breaks all the time, and I'm like, dude,
It's unfair.
so I'm going to take a break. So I was out on my so-called smoke break and just sort of walking around, and I snapped a picture of a man-made pond behind us, and I looked at it on my phone. I was like, dang, Aunt, that looks pretty good, And later on that day, I snapped some other shots, and wow, that looks good too, And I just kept doing it, and I said, you know what, I'm just going to stick with it because it's interesting to me, and I had fun doing it.
Cool. So, I want to say first off, thanks for really promoting the fact that you're going to be our special guest today. I mean, I got to give him kudos because he's been plugging it on social media, and so I really appreciate that, which means that the Creative Pollinators now has a global reach, because some of your followers and those who are your connections on social media are in what other countries?
They're all over the place. I know I have a bunch of people in Spain that I'm in contact with a lot. Quite a few in Asia as well. But yeah, they're all over the place. It's pretty, the internet is pretty neat, and you can look at it and see how it can connect people that are like-minded and have similar tastes and interests and whatnot.
Great.
But I'm flattered to be here. I really appreciate this.
Thank you. And speaking of your frequency of posts on social media, tell us about that experience of you're watching Twit TV and then what happens?
Man, okay, so for anybody that's not a geeky nerd in here, like myself, Twit TV is a very popular technology netcasts. And every Sunday they have their big show of the week, hosted by Mr. Leo Laporte. He used to do a TV show called Call for Help, but now they just do it all over podcasts and internet. And he and his wife, they had connected with me on social media some time back, and just started following me, and that blew my mind one day. But then I'm watching the podcast one day, and he's wanting to show off his new iPhone 10, and he opens up Instagram, and it was my photo right there and I'm like, oh crap, I know that's mine. And it just blew my mind, that I could connect with him, and other people can see what I do and how passionate I am about it.
So recently, is it okay if I call you Ann?
Please,
okay.
And thank you.
Okay. Recently you attended the Adobe conference?
Yes, ma'am.
And so what were you expecting, or what was, well, I don't want to hear it wasn't up to your liking, but tell us what happens at an Adobe conference that is good for those who are trying to build content.
Oh man, well, everybody in here is pretty familiar with Adobe because you hated PDFs at one point in time. But there's also the world of Photoshop, Lightroom, After Effects, and video, and so forth. And Adobe is pretty strong with reaching out to all the creative artists and giving them the tools. And so this conference they do every year is a way for like-minded creative artists and professional amateurs, whomever, if you can afford a ticket, to get together and attend a bunch of different workshops that they put together to take you through the app and what the app can and can't do, demo what some of the new features are that's coming out with the app, and then the thing that I found the most valuable was just being able to network with other people out there. They have it in different venues each year. This was my first time attending, which is a total, I'm gonna say this, if you want something, speak it into an existence. As I told my wife last year, I want to go to this conference. I said, I don't care if I got to pay for it. I don't care if somebody else has to pay for it, but I'm going to be there. And I had already worked it out to be there and pay for it myself. But Adobe saw that I wrote for techrepublic.com and says, yeah, you come on out here. Here's a press pass.
Wow.
And Tech Republic was like, okay, yeah, we'll send you. Sure. So I kept all my money in the pocket until I took it to the slots.
Educational background?
I have a bachelor's degree in information technology, and I'll be frank with you, I don't really use it that much. And I work in IT, but everything that I use in my day-to-day IT stuff, I've gotten from just general research on Google. There's a lot of people out there that are just love hacking at things, and they love sharing their tips and tricks and whatnot. And I look at that stuff and I'm thinking back to my classes, and I'm like, none of this stuff was in the classroom, none of it, But that real world experience, it came from jumping on Google, jumping on YouTube, and just running with it. And it's the same thing with the world of creative arts. I hate Photoshop. Gosh, I hate Photoshop. But I will go and look at a few different Photoshop videos to try to learn all of those gazillion menus in there. I hate After Effects, Mr. Carryhead, but lynda.com and YouTube, there's a lot of different things out there for somebody that can't afford to go to a college and get this information. It's right there for free. You just got to look for it.
With this being your first experience with Creative Pollinators, how effective is a tool like this for a creative professional?
It warms my heart, because for a while I thought I was sort of by myself, other than my man, Mr. Carryhead. You were saying earlier, just the dance down here is just non-existent. And that's how I felt about photography and art and video. But I loved it, so I've stuck with it. But now knowing there's other people here, there's a room full of people here that feel the same way we do and have the same passion, it really warms my heart.
Wow. Your first job opportunity related to content building, what was it like?
I was writing for a site called A New Domain, and it was one of those things where I had no idea that was going to happen, because I just read the website, and I'm one of those passionate commenters. I read an article, and if I like it, I let you know. If I don't like it, I'm going to let you know. And they started seeing my comments and reached out. I was like, "Do you want to write? We're brand new. We're trying to start something up, and like for you to be a part of it." And that was my first opportunity, and it had its ups and downs, but I'll always be grateful for that opportunity.
So have you ever in isolation worked as a videographer or a photographer, or it always has been, kind of all in unison?
Well, like right now, I have a strictly videographer client that I'm dealing with. There's nothing to do with writing, and then with Tech Republic, that's all me typing it out. So it varies from whatever the client needs.
And you mentioned IT support, so where does that fit into your career?
Well, that's the bread and butter. If I want to have the rent paid and so forth, I can go and start writing SQL. But if I want steak, I pull the camera out.
So one of the main reasons why I wanted you to be here today is because we have artists and creative professionals, and many times, because they're juggling so many things, sharing content about what it is they do specifically is, it becomes challenging. So could you tell us some of the building blocks for developing content, because you want to let people know who you are, where you are, what you have to offer?
Well, once you figure out exactly what it is that your passion is, with photography, for example, it can be very broad. It could be landscape, it could be portraiture, it could be street photography. But once you sort of narrow it down, just go ahead and get yourself with being uncomfortable with telling the whole world. You have to say, hey, this is what I'm good at, this is what I love to do, check it out. And you have to constantly share it. And even if it means carrying around a microphone that's got all this fuzzy stuff on it and holding it out in public, you got to do it. It's the only way it'll get out there.
So how easy, or rather difficult, is that for someone who doesn't have a camera, like you have right there? So
how many people have cell phones in here? I think almost everybody in here has a cell phone. No excuses, because that's what I started with. My first sort of diving into it was I started a smartphone photographers community, because I didn't have a DSLR at the time, but I truly believe that my smartphone could take pictures just as good as some DSLRs. I'm not going to say it's as great as the 1DX or 5D, not going to say that. But composition-wise, I can get some good stuff out of a smartphone, and that was years ago, and now the smartphones are way better. And shooting 4K video, so use your phone. There's no excuses anymore.
Okay. So I just want to ask the audience a question real quick. Are any of you having challenges with your digital content, meaning sharing what it is you do?
It's called
Time? Well, I know all about that. Ask my wife. I don't sleep, so it works for me that I don't sleep, because that gives me a little more time. I might get about 3-4 hours of sleep a night, if that, and the rest of the time I'm working or trying to put something together creative-wise, and then trying to figure out my strategy for when to share it out. And there are a lot of different tools out there, such as Buffer, that allow you to schedule your social media things, because there are sometimes you can't sit at the computer and say, all right, open Facebook, open Twitter, post. If you can take some time in the day and schedule things out for up to 3-4 days, that's already off your plate.
So you said yes. So share.
Yeah, I'm trying to spread the word out of what I could do currently. I mean, I'm not a professional, but I'm just spreading out what I could do online, but it's happening very slowly.
It should.
I know.
It should happen slowly.
Are there other ways to amplify the word?
Engagement is the tip that I have. You know, I can't sit here and say I have a gazillion followers or anything like that, but the followers that I have, we engage, and it keeps them coming back, and it keeps them asking me, hey, Aunt, what's next? You know, so when people comment, engage. You know, I'm not going to say comment to a troll or anything like that, but you know, you have to engage because you want to be able to have your art emotionally touch people. You know, because that's, was it you that talked about it? And then you were saying someone cried.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, that's what you want with your work.
How do you prepare for your photo shoot or your drone coverage?
A lot of times with my photo walks, it's all about the weather. I figure out a day that I know I'm going to be free, and then the first thing I do is look at the weather. If it's going to be a cloudy day, I have a mindset on what type of images I'm probably going to come home with, and go ahead and have my camera settings in my head and work from there. And then I'm thinking, all right, if I'm going out here, is it somewhere that I can fly a drone, or is it somewhere I'm going to have to leave the drone at home? Because you have all of these FAA regulations. You have to be careful with that. But it's pretty strategic, you know, and I also have to let her know because I'm going to be gone for a couple hours, and then sometimes I'll have night shoots to where I want to do like long exposure things. And unfortunately, doing those night shoots, it's easier and safer for me, as odd as it sounds, to do it sort of late at night because it's not as much traffic as I'm standing out there on the side of the road getting shots and things like that.
So the prep for your tutorials, your blog or your vlog, is that similar?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I don't do it for all of my photo walks, but I generally think if I'm going out, I say, okay, will this be something for the tutorial, or will this be something that I'll vlog with, you know, and I'll make sure that I have at least that microphone or my smartphone with me, just to try to lead people through what I'm thinking at the time.
So it sounds like really from the time you get up, you're already contemplating, you know, anticipating what it's going to look like. So there isn't a time during the day that you're not. So I think that kind of helps, that kind of preparing, is that?
And the funny thing is I'm not the most sociable person in general. I mean, I know it probably comes off differently online, but I haven't really been comfortable with tweeting and all of that stuff. So it takes an effort, you know, it really takes an effort because that's the only way that I can really share my work and see that it affects other people. And so, again, using tools like Buffer, I sit down and I try to plan it out, you know, and then when I have my down moments just sitting on the couch with the whiskey, you know, I let everything go, you know, but as soon as I'm done with that whiskey, it's time to get back to, you know, I want to create.
Real work. How do you decide to balance professional versus personal posts to your social media?
That's difficult. I'm still battling with that. I mean, Facebook is the biggest social media platform out there, but it's not for me. And I figured out that what Facebook is good for is more of my personal side. But every now and then when I'm sharing things over there that is from the professional side of me, it feels weird. But it's another conscious effort of, you just got to do it. You know, you just got to figure out and draw the line. And I try to make it pretty clear. All right, this is me promoting what I do. And then this is me giving a shout out to the missus for doing her thing at the house and not letting the boys beat themselves to death or whatever, you know.
Because to me, you turned what you do well into a business. And so
That's the attempt anyway.
So on your site you have listed, and I'm asking this question, I want to hear Ant's response, but I also want people to be thinking about, well, how can I have the same thing happen for me? Because on his site he has his prints for sale. You have Adobe stock images, so that means you have a connection to that brand. You have Fine
Fine
Art
Art
America.
America.
So, I mean, how does one monetize, you know, what they're creating, whatever that creativity piece is? How do they monetize that like you have? I mean, do people just see your stuff and call you? Do you get the word out? What's going on?
It's a lot more self-promotion, but the world of stock photography and just stock content in general is really growing nowadays. You have the Adobe stock, you have Shutterstock, you have iStock. I mean, there's a gazillion of them out there, and those different platforms will work for you if you are constantly feeding them. Because just like anything else in the world, they're run off of algorithms, and if they see you're constantly uploading and putting your content out there, they will start pushing it to their clients that are looking for shots of coffee mugs for the morning breakfast blog, little stuff like that, or a cityscape or something for somebody that's wanting to talk about clubs on their website. I mean, it's anything. I've sold stock images of my shoes with my little striped socks, and I just took that with my camera one day, just whatever, it's shoes, and it sold.
All right, so that's the little brief snippet of the Q&A. I thank you folks for watching, and I thank the Gaston County Arts Council for having me on the Creative Pollinators as an honored guest, man. That's just, wow, that was really big for me, and I really appreciate that. So be sure to look them up and check them out. I'll put some links in the bottom of this video so you can follow them on their social media and spread the word about being a creative artist and just putting more joy and good creative vibes out there. If you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe, and share button. I really appreciate that, as it helps support this channel and support me to continue to be able to do all of the creative things I love to do. Thanks for watching. Be sure to stay tuned for the next forthcoming videos. I have a few things lined up. It's holiday season, so I'm pretty sure you're going to want to check out my holiday buying guide for creative artists and photographers alike. I'm not all about spending a gazillion dollars, so I'm going to have some good ones out there for you to check out. Thanks for watching, folks. We'll see you on the next one.